Hi all, welcome back to Vows and Venues. Today we're in the Druids Glen Resort, which is situated in the Wicklow Mountains. Surrounded by lush woodlands, rolling hills and meticulously landscaped gardens, it provides the perfect backdrop for your wedding day and photographs. Today we have an exciting day ahead. We're going to tour Druids Glen and give you an insight to weddings here, as well as chatting to the wedding team to find out what your wedding day would look like. After that, we're going to have a sit down with two of Ireland's leading celebrants, Dave and Anne of Ceremonies for All.
Another turning point, a second around. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test, don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind. Hang it on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it is worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you have the time of your life. Something unpredictable, in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. Something unpredictable, but in the end it's right.
So now we're taking a sit down with Nessa, part of the weddings team here at Druids Glen. As all the staff like to call her here, the Director of Romance.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nessa, for your time today.
You're very welcome, Linda, and thank you for taking this time to talk to me.
Great, thank you. So basically we'll start, we'll just go through a few questions that bride and grooms like to know in advance of booking their weddings. So can you give us an idea of what unique features set Druids Glen apart from other venues?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing I'm going to say, and I'm looking at them there in the ballroom, without a doubt is the staff, it's the team, and time again the reviews are the staff, how wonderful they are, the service. That is huge, a huge part of it. Also our location, you can't deny the location. Garden of Wicklow, we're nestled between two beautiful golf courses, the Heath and the Glen, so it's the setting, which is very important for a lot of people because it's to do with the photographs.
Yes.
I'm not going to blow my own trumpet, but I am here 20 years, a very long time. I'm part of the furniture, but I suppose my knowledge, my experience, and I really care about my couples and keeping them calm and giving them the advice they need. So I think they're important points. I'd be their point of contact from that first email, that first phone call, quite literally until I walk them in on their wedding day to sit them down for dinner, and then I bid them farewell because I can do no more then. So yeah, for me they would be the big points and factors of Druids Glen. Yeah,
that's great. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
How many guests can Druids Glen accommodate?
So our actual ballroom for a full capacity wedding will be comfortably 220 guests. Now couples will meet me and they'll have an invite list of 250 and they say, oh my God, Nessa, you won't fit it. And my answer is, well, we will actually, because if your invite list is 250, they have to allow for a drop off.
Yes.
And there's always that drop off. So comfortably 220, but I also cater for the small weddings. The small weddings will be midweek, and that could be 8, 10, 12, 20 people. So anything midweek from small numbers, but weekends it will be 220 for the ballroom, and then bedroom allocation will be 145 guest rooms, so plenty to facilitate all.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And just on that, do you have minimum numbers for the weekends or?
Weekend, there used to be that it always had to be the minimum numbers, and trends are changing, as we know,
Yes.
all across the board for everybody, for vendors, for hoteliers, the whole lot. And as I said, our maximum capacity is 220. So you'd usually say we need a minimum requirement of 120. Are we flexible on that? 100%. If I have a couple that would like to have 100 guests on a Friday, Saturday, am I going to say no? Depending on the time of year, more times than not we will take it. We work with couples. So yes, back in the day we would have had minimum requirements, but we're not so strict on it. You still have to have minimum requirements, and the reason for that, our guarantee is only one wedding per day. So that's the reasoning behind that. But we're very flexible and we're happy to talk to couples.
Right, that's lovely to hear. So can couples bring in their own suppliers, or do you have a recommended supplier list?
Absolutely. I'll always give a recommended supplier list, because vendors that we've worked with, that we know, that know the hotel, I always think that's important. The likes of photographers that know the hotel, I think that's very important for the couple, and that I know they put the couple at ease. 100%. Couples will have their own contacts, word of mouth, family weddings they've been to. They may bring them in. I just always ask them to run it by me, that it's not something off the cuff, that some mad bulldozer or something is not going to pull about the front, or something. Look, more times than not it's fine, but I always ask, just please run it by us, and 100% it's usually fine. Yeah, there's nothing mad has happened yet.
Do you have any restrictions on decorations that couples can use?
No, not really. As I always say, this is a blank canvas when couples come. Like, we're on a walkway here, you'll see it in a while, and into the ballroom. It's a blank canvas, it's their day, and every couple has their own wants, their needs, their own themes, their own colour scheme. So I always say to them, this is your space, your area to add to as you wish. Again, just to run it by us. The only thing I ask is not to knock nails into walls or use tape things onto walls. We can use blue tack and things like that. But some good suppliers, they will do it all properly. They work with us. We all work together. We all talk together. So no, very flexible.
Great.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the type of wedding packages you offer?
Yeah, so we like to keep our wedding packages simple, self-explanatory, because the more detailing you put in there, couples get very confused, and it's kind of, what am I getting? It literally, we have one sheet that says exactly what is included from beginning to end, from their arrival, for their meal, their wine with their meal, their evening foods, their decor in the room. It's an all-inclusive package. Midweek for next year, I'm going to say, that will start from 120 per person, and then on a weekend, on a Saturday, that will go up to 132 per person. But it's very straightforward. We don't include vendors in our package. I think that, again, that's a very personal thing, because couples like to pick their own vendors as well. So yeah, packages all-inclusive from arrival to evening for food, beverage and room decor.
Perfect. That's great. Do you offer civil ceremonies on site?
Oh, absolutely. Civil ceremonies are gone huge, as we know, and it's not to do anymore with religion or second marriage. It's couples want that full day to be seamless. So most of them will check in the night before. Couples and families will stay the night before. Ceremony will do on site, either in the ballroom, depending on the time of year. If it's winter time, we're not putting them outside. So we do one half of the ballroom, and then we have a lovely outdoor area called our woodland. So this summer, thankfully, we have got to have a lot of our ceremonies outdoors. Today we have a wedding, it's a church, but absolutely we cater for our ceremonies on site.
So on that, talking about civil ceremonies, you do have site outside. So for inclement weather, obviously we're in Ireland, we are going to get it every so often. You obviously have a backup plan for that.
Absolutely. So usually when it's a ceremony on site, now today is a lovely day and everybody wants it outdoors, but as you say, we live in Ireland. We don't get the weather that we would get abroad. So our backup plan, I never make a decision until the actual day. And even though the sun could be shining in the morning, we could have gale force winds, lashes of rain, as we all know, come lunchtime. So here we'll make a decision about 11, half 11. It's not a decision we make lightly. We have yet to be caught out. But if the weather isn't good, we will do it in one half of the ballroom. As I said, our ballroom holds 220, but it divides in two. So it enables us then to make a decision. We'll set the ceremony up inside. As soon as the ceremony is over, we'll turn the ballroom around, guests will come for their drinks. So again, it's to keep it seamless, there's no stress. Do we touch base with the couple? Of course we do, it's their day. And if I'm bringing it indoors when they would like it outdoors, I'm talking to them, I'm explaining it's for the good of them, it's to make sure their guests are happy, not cold, out in gale force winds, hair blowing. The ladies are in the dresses, the guys are in their suits, it's a little different. So absolutely, we always have that backup plan, and it just works.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Just going back to something you mentioned earlier in relation to a lot of couples having their civil ceremonies here and them arriving the day before.
Yeah.
Do you have facilities for them to get ready on the morning of the wedding?
So usually what we'll do, that's a very good question. Usually what we'll do, our bride likes to, a lot of couples stay with tradition. Not all couples stay with tradition. They like to stay with their partners. Again, it's personal to each couple. But if a bride and groom are staying with tradition, or a couple, should I say, are staying with tradition and don't want to see each other until they get to the altar, I'll always give a suite, let's say, to my girls, because a suite has your bedroom, your separate dining area. So the separate dining area is going to be their hair and makeup, which is going to arrive 9, half 9, probably earlier, sometimes earlier in the morning. The girls will, and there's an adjoining twin room to that where usually the bridesmaids will stay, so they can all be together, stay in their jammies, have their breakfast together. They don't come down usually for breakfast. Hair and makeup will arrive. A groom, if he wishes to do the same, now very seldom do the grooms, they'll go for a swim, they might do 9 holes on the golf course, they'll do their breakfast, they'll go for a walk, they'll do all that. So absolutely. Couples will then say to me, well Nessa, what happens when we go for the ceremony, or do we have to check out early because our ceremony's today? They stay in that room until they're ready to get married and until they leave that room. And then what we'll do, concierge, we'll go up, get all their luggage, bring it together and move it to their suite. So again, as I say to them, get up, get ready, have your breakfast, enjoy it, and we'll move your luggage.
Perfect.
Yeah, so yeah,
That's
it seems,
great.
yeah.
Perfect. Do you have a payment and cancellation policy?
Yeah, good question. So usually what the procedure is, couples, if they're interested in our venue, they're going to come and view it, hopefully meet with myself, walk and talk them through the day. And if couples are really keen, they can make a provisional booking. Some couples will say to me, oh, do we have to put a deposit down then? Absolutely not. A provisional booking is a provisional booking, so you don't pay the money then. That's to weigh up all the pros and cons and see what they think, and they're probably looking at 1 or 2 other venues. If they feel then they want to go ahead, they're going to say, Nessa, I think we're going with you, we love the venue, happy days, we love to hear that. Then we'll go to contract, so I'll send a contract out to my couples, but we'll give them another 2 weeks just to be 100% sure. If they're happy with the contract and they've asked me all the questions they need to before signing, then we'll ask for the booking deposit, and the booking deposit is 2,500. Let's say they've paid that booking deposit and lots of different things happen in life and people might need to change a date or move a date out. We will move the date for them and their deposit will move for them so they don't lose it. However, in unfortunate circumstances, sometimes couples go their separate ways. It happens, it's life, it's a normal thing in life, and they will lose their deposit, unfortunately. Unless now they give us plenty of notice. Let's say with a 1.5 year notice, maybe even a year, but let's say 1.5 years, and we can resell that date, then we will look at seeing can we give them back their deposit. But normal circumstances would be refund is or deposit is non-refundable, should I say. Yeah, so that's how that would work. Yeah.
And on that, how far in advance would you recommend that couples look to book here?
That's a very good question, and some couples, their friends and family tell them, oh, you need to book 2 years out, 3 years out. Couples will ring me for next year saying, oh, I believe everywhere is booked out. No, don't be listening to all of that. Go with what you feel, what you want. You can actually plan a wedding, believe it or not, in 6 months.
Yes.
If you're an organised person, if you know what you want, if you know the kind of venue you want, it's a few phone calls, it's a few meetings, it's doing that tour. Focus. Get it done. You can get it all done, nearly boxed off in 2 months. That's probably also me speaking from experience, and I know what you can do. Couples, when they're planning a wedding, it's so daunting. Where do they start? What do they do? But if you do really want a specific date and you really want that venue and you're set on it, and that was always going to be the venue you choose, a year is enough time. Within that year, a year and a half, don't be looking at 2 years, 2.5, 3 years. I think it's too long to be planning a wedding. That's my advice.
Okay.
So I think a year and a half, time enough, but you can do it in 6 months.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah.
So for those who are looking to have a larger wedding here,
Yeah.
how many guests can the hotel accommodate overnight?
It's a very good question. Every couple will ask that, and every couple but every couple will say, oh, I want everybody staying in the hotel. First thing I'm going to say before fully answering that, you can't expect everybody to want to stay in a hotel that you book. Guests are invited to a wedding, but weddings, as we know, for the couple are hugely expensive, but they're hugely expensive for their guests as well.
Yes.
So our hotel here, we have 145 guest rooms, as I say, so there's plenty of accommodation to facilitate everybody. Will every wedding party stay in a hotel? Absolutely not. Others have family, they want to stay locally, or they want to go elsewhere, or go home. But on a wedding night, we'll give an allocation of 30 guest rooms, which is usually the standard. Some hotels will do 20, but it's 30 guest rooms. Depending on if it's midweek, if it's Friday, Saturday, there is a reduced rate, and those rates vary per month or per day. Then on the wedding night, your bridal suite is complimentary, and then you get another 2 rooms complimentary once you have minimum 80 adults. So it's a good allocation of rooms.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean that they can't book more than 30 guest rooms. If all those 30 rooms are full, of course they can, but it'll be back whatever the selling rate is at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And on-site parking, do you have much on-site parking?
Absolutely, so much on-site parking, because as I said, you've your Druids Heath course here, you've the hotel, you've your leisure facilities here. There's ample parking for all the guests. The car park goes on and on. So yeah, loads of parking.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's great. In relation to vendors, going back to those, what time can they arrive on the day to set up?
Now, that's a brilliant question, and I'll tell you why. When it's a ceremony, let's say a couple have a ceremony, and we spoke about it. If the weather's not good, we have to have the ceremony in the ballroom. But we also have to have the dinner in the ballroom. But you've vendors that are doing dance floors and backdrops and flowers and all of those items. So when it's a ceremony, I always will advise my couple, please inform your vendors that your ceremony may be indoors, so they need to work with us, they need to work with the couple, and between us we'll turn it all around. If there's no ceremony on site, like today I have a wedding, it's off site, they're getting married in a church ceremony. They've beautiful backdrops today, they have a dance floor today. That's been set up since 11:30, 12 this morning. Even though I had a wedding yesterday, it doesn't impact. They can come in as early as 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, once it's not a civil ceremony. If it's a civil ceremony, I'm going to say could be from 11 in the morning, and if it's a civil ceremony, not before 11, but could be 2:30, 3 before we can permit their setup. We all work together.
And it's understandable.
Yeah.
Great. On the day, can the venue accommodate dietary requirements?
Oh, 100%. And the dietary requirements now, there's so many, so many, and there's not one function, and not even a wedding, but function that there's not. It could be vegan, celiac is so common, gluten-free, all catered for. All dietary requirements, absolutely catered for, yeah.
And do you need to know in advance? Would you recommend that they include
if they can tell us, that's very good. If the couple can tell us. Now, some guests forget to tell their couples, and then there's panic on the day. Oh my God, I'm celiac or whatever. It's fine. We'll cater for you. Once you've spoken to us and you tell us, we'll cater for you. And we do a tasting with every couple as well, and I'm sure most hotels will, so couples need to be reassured of that. That's the day we'll meet with our couple, talk about the whole day, the plan of action. They'll sample the full menu, but then we're asking about dietary requirements. And more times than not nowadays, couples will put on their menus, any dietary requirements, please tell us. Will the guest tell them? Maybe not. But if they can tell us in advance, do. It just makes it easier. But if they don't tell us, does it matter? No, because we're still taking the order on the day, so we cater for them. Yeah, yes, so
fantastic. What advice would you give to couples who are in the middle of planning their day at the moment?
Planning, I always say this to a couple. A wedding day is a huge day. There's huge pressure and there's huge stress involved. Everybody's giving them advice, giving their opinions. They have to remember it's their day, it's what they want. There's no right or wrong. And people look at me when I say that. So for example, some couples will say, do I have to have a wedding cake? And I'll say, do you want a wedding cake? No, I absolutely don't want a wedding cake. Well, then don't have a wedding cake. But Auntie Mary told me I have to have a wedding cake. That's when all that pressure starts.
Yeah.
Plan the day as they want. It's a once in a lifetime. It's one day. As we all know, it's one day that their whole lives then ahead of them. They've probably bought a home or buying a home, planning a family, whatever. Put their heart and soul into it, yes, but enjoy it. And remember, it's a celebration, it's a party. And there's no right or wrong, and just enjoy the experience. If it gets too much, I'll always say to them when I sit in front of them here and I'm chatting to them, step back. It's all going to happen, it's all going to come right on the day, and just enjoy it.
Right.
Because, yeah, that's what it's about. Yeah.
And one thing I see an awful lot of couples are currently, a trend for them at the moment is to have a day two. Do you facilitate day two?
That's coming back, yeah. Day two stopped for a while, it is coming back. And as I always say to couples when they're planning the wedding day, initially when you throw out about a day two, everybody's going to say, yeah, I'm doing the 2 days, yeah, we'll be at your barbecue or the buffet or whatever. They can look at that later down the road, but if they're thinking of booking day two, book it at the same time that they're booking their wedding, and then have a conversation down the road as they see. To answer the question, 100%. So day two, very popular in summer, would be barbecues.
Yes.
Everybody wants a barbecue. Do we always get the weather? No. But they can still have their barbecue, we'll put them in the restaurant. If not, we have a beautiful decking area looking out onto our Druids Glen and out off the Wicklow Mountains, so it's beautiful. Some couples might do a buffet, they'll do soup and sandwiches. Some couples might just gather in the bar and book a table in the bar. Can they book the whole bar? No, it's a public bar. We can book tables in the bar, depending on the numbers. But absolutely, day twos are huge, and there's plenty of options there for them. Yeah. Some couples as well, actually, on day two, they might do an afternoon because not everybody's staying. But then you might have a whole gang of them staying the next night, and have really made a weekend of it. So they might organise music and finger foods then later on that night as well. So there's lots of opportunities.
That's lovely. That's great. That's a lot of information for couples to
hopefully
to take in.
Yeah, it's a lot, and it is a lot, but it's very manageable.
But again, it will help them.
Yeah, hopefully. Right. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
So I think that's all the questions we have for you today.
Brilliant, Linda.
So I'd like to thank you and the team for allowing us to come on site and
record so good.
today.
It's so appreciated, and thank you as well for your time as well. So it's been brilliant.
ahead. You're calling to me. I can't hear what you have said. Then you say, oh, so I fall behind. The second hand unwinds. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. After my picture fades and darkness has turned to gray, watching through windows, you're wondering if I'm okay. Secrets stolen from deep inside. The drum beats out of time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting. Time after time. Then you say, go slow, I fall behind. The second hand unwinds. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I'll be waiting. Time after time. If you're lost, you can look and you will find me. Time after time. If you fall, I will catch you. I will be waiting. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time. Time after time.
So here we are today with Anne Dempsey and Dave Russell of Ceremonies for All. Welcome, Anne and Dave. Thank you for sitting with us today.
Thank you
Linda.
so much, Linda.
So you guys are legal celebrant and solemnisers. So would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this?
Well, we got married in 2016 in the Angler's Rest, and so we were getting a celebrant to marry us, and it was such a wonderful occasion that on the wedding day I actually said to him, this is deadly, I'm going to do that. So 2.5 years travelling back and forward to England to train, and that's how we came to this point.
Fantastic. What are the legal requirements involved in getting married in Ireland?
Well, Linda, anyone who wants to get married in Ireland must register their intent with the HSE in order for them to obtain the famous green folder and their marriage registration form. And to do that, you must do that on hse.ie, or if anybody wants to contact us on ceremoniesforall.ie, we'll send them out an easy step-by-step guide of how to apply for their licence. You must give the HSE a minimum of 3 months notice to obtain your licence. You go into them, they'll arrange a meeting with you once you fill out the forms, and you will obtain your green folder once you meet their criteria.
Perfect, that's great, thank you. And can I just check, are you both HSC registered?
Yes, because the word you have to look for is solmonizer rather than celebrant, and we're both solmonizers. So we're on the HSC register and we're able to conduct the fully legally binding ceremony.
Great, thank you guys. Do you offer any assistance with couples when they're going through the marriage licence application?
Yeah, absolutely. What we do is we make the whole process as easy as possible for them. We give them, as I said, a step-by-step guide of how to apply for their licence, but we also meet the couples and we go through the process with them and give them copies of the forms of which they'll need to fill out. So before they even apply to the HSE, they're fully aware of the process that they're going through, and it's a simple enough process. They can go to any HSE office, in a registrar's office in the country, and we'll help them on their way to show them how to do it properly.
Great, thank you. Where are you allowed to perform ceremonies in Ireland?
There has to be some degree of public access, so it could be a hotel, it could be a community centre, it could be a restaurant, a stately home that's open a certain number of days to the public. It could be a castle, it could be an OPW building. So anywhere that has some degree of public access. It has to be somewhere that actually has a postcode. So you couldn't marry someone on the Hill of Howth. It has to have a postcode, it has to be in a venue.
Great, thank you. How far in advance should couples start looking to book their solemniser?
Well, what we'd recommend is that as soon as you've decided to make the big leap and get married, you should book your venue and your solemnizer as soon as possible. Over a year out would be about the right, sometimes a year and a half would be the right time to do it. But once you have the main building blocks, your venue, your date and your solemnizer, that's your three main building blocks, and then you can pad everything out with photographers, singers, cake and whatever else is involved.
Perfect. And is there a minimum time, a close-off date, where you have to have them booked in advance?
You must have everything finished, completed with the HSE in relation to your licence. Is a clear 3 months cooling down period before the date of your wedding. So have everything done, and we'd advise that you start the process about 12 months out in relation to your licence, and that'll give you plenty of time. There'll be no panic and everything will be done in accordance.
Lovely, that's brilliant. Do you guys travel across Ireland, and if so, do you have travel expenses included in your cost?
Well, we try to keep our costs to a minimum because we're very much aware of the pressures on young couples nowadays. So we travel a fair extent. We're based in Dublin, we usually travel up to 2 hours from Dublin. So that could be to Galway, Kilkenny, Limerick, and if you want us to go a little bit further, well, maybe we can negotiate a small travelling fee. But as I said, our fees, we try and keep them to a minimum, but if you want us, we'll be there.
Great, thank you. What should couples look for when they're booking their solemniser?
They should look for someone who is going to put the focus on them, not someone who is going to impose what they want. So the main thing is to remember we're facilitating what the couple want. So it should be about them, it should be about their story. If they have children, we can have the children involved. It should be warm, personable, a little bit of fun. So it should be that the solemnizer makes an effort rather than shoves out a generic ceremony. So you should meet them, go through what it is they'd like. Would they like spirituality? Would they not like it? Would they like... So it's basically, the solemnizer should say to the couple, what do you want? And how can I facilitate that?
Brilliant, that's great.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how couples can design their ceremony with you?
Well, what we do is lots of different couples want each their own ceremony to be quite unique. So whether they're having a sand ceremony, whether they're having hand fasting, whatever else, we meet them as soon as they book us. We meet them for about an hour and a half. We go through and give them lots of ideas to make their ceremony completely unique, and whatever they want, we'll incorporate that into a fun, happy, warm, personal ceremony for them, and they hopefully will be delighted with what they get at the end of the day.
Great. Do you have sample ceremonies for couples to look at in advance of the day?
No, we don't, because there is no generic ceremony. We need to meet the couple and find out what they want, and then those elements are written into the ceremony. So it's not generic, it's not one size fits all. It's what do you want? Once I find out, I write the ceremony to match.
Okay, that's great. What options can couples incorporate into their wedding rituals, such as religious, prayers, readings? hand fastings, the hand stand ceremony?
Well, at Ceremonies for All, we represent all religions and none. So if you want a religious ceremony or parts of your ceremony religious, we can incorporate that into your ceremony. If you want a complete secular ceremony, non-religious, we will also supply that for you. But whatever you want in your ceremony, we can incorporate it, whether it be hand fasting, whether it be sand ceremony, whether it can be putting a bottle of wine with love letters in a box to be opened 12 months after on their first anniversary, or whatever couples want, we'll incorporate that with a good bit of fun into our ceremony as well.
Lovely. Do you see many trends coming into play in ceremonies at the moment?
The latest trend is that people are tending to write their own vows, and it gives a really warm, fun and very, very loving experience. And the latest trend as well in relation to vows is that they both have small notebooks. So when it comes to the vow ceremony, after they say the legal section, the I do's, we invite them to read their own vow to each other. And this is such a popular trend that's coming to the ceremonies now, and sometimes myself or Anne were standing by with the tissues beside, because the love that pours out of each couple during their vows is absolutely beautiful.
That's lovely. How do you coordinate with wedding venues and vendors in advance of the day?
Well, again, the focus is about the couple having the experience, and say, for argument's sake, when the bride is coming up the aisle, I make sure that I'm off to the side so the photographer has full vision of her coming up. Sometimes we would say to the photographer, are there any special needs? And once I was marrying a couple and there was a large skylight, and the photographer said to me, if there is a blast of sunshine, it'll be very difficult for me during the vows, so could you ask the couple to step back, which I did. So it meant that he could get his nice photographs without there being a glare. So very much we work with them. Again, I have to go back to the whole thing, it's the couple's big day, and it's up to us to communicate to people, you know, how we can make that as good as we can. So even with the musician, I'll always have a copy of the ceremony for the musician as well, and with the music put in, so then there's no guesswork. So we collaborate, that's the main thing, to make the day as special as it can be.
Great, thank you. How do you handle nervous couples on the day or in advance of the day?
Well, what we always do is meet the couples beforehand, and we are so well prepared with them because we meet them twice before the wedding ever takes place, before the ceremony ever takes place, so they know exactly what's going to be in their ceremony. We calm them down. We might do a little bit of breathing exercise with them, but the main thing is we reassure them that they're safe in our hands. We guide them through the whole ceremony, and they find that's the most relaxing way to do it.
What's your approach to managing disruptions during the ceremony?
Well, the main thing is not to let it throw you off course, right? And it's a whole thing, control the controllables. So before a wedding, I have rehearsed it a few times myself. I know what I have to say. I'm quite familiar with the material. If something happens, then all you do is make a laugh. So if a child comes up and runs up to you and wants to stand beside you, that's fine, let them be there. If they want to climb up on their mum and dad, that's fine. Sometimes we put out an extra chair for them. So the whole thing is live broadcast, deal with whatever has to be dealt with, have a laugh. Irish people respond very well if you just laugh at something. And again, with children as well, you can't expect children to sit on the sidelines all the time. So facilitate them. If they want to stand beside you, let them stand beside you. You know, if they want an extra chair, give them the extra chair. Make them happy.
True.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice that you've learned over the years that might help brides and grooms in the run-up to their day?
Relax. Be prepared, have everything done. Say, if you can, a week or two prior to your ceremony, go over everything with us, have a chat with us. We always meet them again a short time before the ceremony, whether it's through a personal meeting or a Zoom call. But the main thing is, don't leave everything to the last minute. And once you're prepared, everything will go absolutely smoothly. Have confidence in your solemnizer and in your celebrant, and everything will be absolutely perfect. There'll be nothing to worry about. Don't worry, don't take anything, just relax.
Great, thank you guys. I think that's all the questions we have for you today. Just like to say thank you both for coming here.
And thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Well, that's all we have for you today. We hope you enjoyed this latest vlog at Druids Glen. We'd like to thank Nessa and the whole team at this fantastic venue, as well as Dave and Anne from Ceremonies for All, for also giving up their valuable time to sit with us today. We'll leave contact details for both Druids Glen and Ceremonies for All in the description box below to make it easy for you to get in touch with either team to discuss your wedding plans. And as always, thanks for tuning in. If there's a venue or supplier you'd like to see us chat with, please drop a comment in the box below, and don't forget to like and subscribe to see where we head to next.